Hey my dear boys and girls, welcome back again to your favorite astrology channel, and which is Jupiter Astrology. And today we're gonna talk about a lot of things about your spouse. So basically, I'm just creating a lot of videos and getting a lot of requests from you guys about different topics, right? So basically, I'm just carrying on in the spouse category a lot of videos just trying to create, and also about career and all those kind of things I will create in the future. But today in this video we're gonna talk about the spouse. I would like to tell you that if you are a male, you can watch this video for your wife. If you are a female, you can watch this video for your husband. Okay, so basically in Vedic astrology, which house belong to your spouse? It is seventh house, right? Although seventh house represent a lot of things, but we are talking about the spouse, so spouse house is seventh house. Now to see about the appearance, about beauty, about nature, about a lot of things about your spouse, like the characteristics and all those kind of things, we need to analyze a lot of things, right? So we have to analyze like the seventh lord, which is your seventh lord, which sign is falling into your seventh house, where your seventh house lord is placed, which planets are there in your seventh house, what is your Darakarka, and we need to analyze D9 chart and a lot of things, right? There's a lot of videos I can create on this topic, and I will create them in future one by one. I'm just trying to create, and also I have a lot of videos about the Darakarka and all those kind of topics you can just watch on our channel Jupiter Astrology. So today in this video we're gonna talk about something about your spouse according to your seventh lord placement. So no matter which ascendant you are, from Aries to Pisces, you can be any ascendant. We will see that what you need to see simply which is your seventh lord and where your seventh lord is placed. You need to see simply where your seventh lord is placed from first to 12th house, and according to that you will see, you will just understand something about your spouse that I will just tell you in this video. So guys, I would like to tell you that if you want personal consultation from us, the links are in description. You can just fill the form and get consultation from us. Okay, so you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram also. You can just join our Jupiter Astrology social media on Facebook also. So for consultation, links are in description below. You can fill the form and just get personal consultation from us, right, by paying the payments. So whether your spouse is from the same country, different country, whether your spouse is from same religion, different religion, right, the cultural background of the spouse is beautiful, not beautiful, spouse voice, spouse hair, and a lot of things you can see in Vedic astrology by different things. So we'll create all these video in the future, but today let's just go ahead and see what will gonna happen when your seventh lord is placed in different houses. So first we're gonna start with what happened when your seventh lord is placed in the first house. So when your seventh lord is placed in the first house, first thing we see that what does first house represent? First house is related to itself, to you, right? It represents your body, your nature, your color of your body, height, wisdom, self-belief, your thinking pattern, right? The way you perceive other, your mind, your knowledge, all these kind of things, it represent you. First house is you. Okay, so now when your seventh lord, which is your spouse, is placed in the first house, right, so what will gonna happen? So basically first thing we see that seventh lord is placed 7 places away from itself. That means 7, if you start counting from seventh house, then first house is 7 places away from seventh house. Okay, now basically it means that there could be business partnership between you and your spouse, right? It may possible that your spouse and you are like a business partner. You guys maybe just after getting married start some business together. Maybe you guys can just do some work together. These things can also be seen. Now it means that a person can marry a business partner also, right? Maybe you are a girl who will marry some businessman if you have this seventh lord is placed in the first house, right? Also it brings great sense of self purpose and fulfillment, right? The person has a great bonding with their spouse. That means if your seventh lord is placed in the first house, then it's really a good condition. Maybe you can marry someone who is a businessman. Maybe you guys can just start business together, right? So now the good thing here is that there is a kind of a fulfillment and a good bonding between you and your spouse if your seventh lord is placed in the first house. Now in general, if you have seventh lord is sitting in the first house, others are reaching out to you, like first house is you and seventh house is other public, and your spouse is like also other person before you know him. So it's like your spouse come to you, spouse approach you. So it, I have also seen in many various chart that when your seventh lord is placed in the first house, then what happens that your spouse could be from the place where you born very near to that, right? For an example, let's say you are born in Athens, Greek, right? In Europe there is a country called as Greece, and let's say in you are born in Athens, a place in Greece, and then your spouse can be in Athens, right? You will marry someone who is from Athens if your seventh lord is in the first house, or you can marry someone who is from Amaryantos, you can be marry someone from Niastira, right? These are the places which are near Athens, that's why I am telling you. So I am giving you some example. You can marry someone who is from Kinita. So basically what I'm just trying to tell you that, let's say for example, you can be any city in your in this world, right? I have given example of Greece. So let's say for example you can be in any city all around the world, or any place where you born from in this world. So your spouse, if your seventh lord is placed in the first house, then your spouse will be someone who is from very near to your birthplace. Maybe he's from 40-50 kilometers radius to your birthplace, right? Or maybe he she from the same city or same village of your birthplace. Maybe he or she could be someone who study with you in the same college. Maybe he or she could be someone who is like working with you, like very close to you, these kind of thing. Although we need to see a lot of things for that, person consultation is required, but generally we had seen in a lot of cases when your seventh lord goes to first house, in more many cases actually, I would like to tell you that the person will marry someone who is not too far, right? Their partner is like very close to their birthplace. That's what I would like to tell you. Now let's move on to second house. What will gonna happen when your seventh lord is placed in the second house? Now what does second house represent? Second house represents our money, our family, our voice, our tongue, right? Donation, right? Also food, right eye, neighbor, our speech, and a lot of things, right, is being represented by the second house. Now what will happen when your seventh lord is placed in the second house? Seventh, second house is 8 places away from seventh house. So if you start counting from seventh house, then second house will be 8 places away from seventh house. So what does it means? It means that money gained through marriage partner, right? Are you understanding? Money gained through marriage and partnership. So maybe if your seventh lord is placed in the second house, maybe you will marry someone who is rich, or maybe you will gain some money through your spouse, or maybe your luck will improve. Maybe something will happen that after your marriage you guys do some business and some work, or and then a lot of money start to come, right? These things are seen when your seventh lord is placed in the second house. Also, your spouse could be someone who is from a well spoken family, right? Also he or she could be a family oriented person also. These kind of things are also seen when your seventh lord is placed in the second house. But relationship could be transformative. There may be ups and down in your relationship, although it depends upon a lot of factors. We need to see a lot of, again, things. For that you need a personal consultation, but still I'm just trying to tell you that because it's 8 places away from seventh house, seventh lord in the sixth house is 8 places away from the seventh house, that's why there is transformation in the relationship, right? Now also, when your seventh lord is in second house, then your spouse would have a strong impact on your financial condition. Again, a spouse somehow connected with finance. I'm just again telling you, maybe gain through the spouse, and some way your spouse is connected with the finances, your finances. The spouse will play an important role in your family when your seventh lord is sitting in the second house, because second house is also like family. So spouse has an important role in family. I have seen that when seventh lord is in second house and the person marrying to someone who is like good financial condition, at the same time like spouse is like caring, kind of person towards your family. That's really a good condition. Now you could also do good in business in this case, because seventh house is also the house of that, and it's sitting in the second house of wealth. So you could also be do financially well if you do business. This also signify this apart from the relationship and spouse. uh, Also, a business in the finance industry is also seen when your seventh lord is sitting in the second house. So overall, it's really a good condition when your seventh lord is sit in the second house. So basically, if I would like to just sum up, when your seventh lord is placed in the sixth, related to your spouse, money, gains, and family. These are the main keywords if you want to understand, right? And also there may be transformation in relationship, because it's like 8 places away from the seventh house. That's why. So you have to see all these things. So again, I'm just adding that you need to uh, judge a lot of things, like the conjunctions. A planet conjunct can be there, some planet aspect can be there, and a lot of things. For that you need like to analyze a chart, and person consultation is required for that. Now what will gonna happen when your seventh lord is placed in the third house? Now first let's understand, what does third house represent. Third house represent our courage, patience, hidden enemy, younger brother or sister, younger sibling, our throat, mother, longevity, creativity, like your communication skills, social media kind of thing. All these things are being represented by the third house. Now guys, what will gonna happen when your seventh lord, which is your spouse lord kind of place in the third house? Then, first thing we understand that seventh lord is placed 9 places away. The third house is 9 places away. If you start counting from seventh house, like seventh house is first, eighth is second, ninth is third, 10th is fourth, 11th is fifth, 12th is sixth, and then first house is seventh, and second house is eighth, and third house is ninth. So third house is 9 places away from seventh house. So basically, what it means, first thing I have seen, that when your seventh lord is placed in the third house, then there are chances that you will marry someone who is from long distance. Maybe you will marry someone who is foreigner, who is from long distance, or maybe you have long distance relationship. At the same time, when you marry, then your luck will also increases, because it's again 9 places away in the third house. Then again, it is somewhat linked to your luck also. Also, the spouse could be talkative, right? The person could be talkative whom you marry. Uh, a spouse could be courageous and fortunate for you, because it's placed in the third house, which is 9 places away from the seventh house. That's why he or she could be fortunate for you. At the same time, she or he may be religious, and overall you will get a good intelligent spouse by this placement when your seventh lord is placed in the third house. The spouse could be well learned, having high academic qualifications. These things are also seen when your seventh lord is placed in the third house. So also I would like to add that when your seventh lord is placed in the third house, then communication would be most important asset of your relationship with your spouse. So or I would like to add that your in your relationship, communication is most important, or I can say that your relationship may survive on communication. Without communication, it's really hard for you to just make your relationship work. So if you want your relationship to perform well and goes in long run, so in that case, you and your seventh lord is placed in the third house, then simply just try to communicate with your spouse, right? So in that way, your relationship will be better. At the same time, this is good because you will get a spouse who is like fortunate, or I can say that your fortune will increase, your luck will increase after you getting married. uh, and he or she will be intelligent, communicative, and all these kind of things. And again, I'm just telling you, long distance relationship are seen. I have seen many chart actually when seventh lord is placed in the third house, because it's 9 places away. Then there is some kind of like long distance relationship they have. So these things are seen when your seventh lord is placed in the third house. Now let's move on to fourth house. What will happen when your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house in Vedic astrology? So what does fourth house represent? Fourth house represent property, vehicles, happiness, mother, house, home, hidden money, And a lot of things. It's like your heart also. So fourth house is mainly, it's like lots of more thing also, but mainly it's like in Hindi we call it sukhasthana. Like it's your happiness, it's your like happiness that you get. Like some people you see that they have a lot of money and everything, good cars, luxuries, but still they are not happy. They don't have sukh in their life. So what if your fourth house you have benefics and is strong, then you will be happy. No matter what situation you have in your life, you will be happy about what you have, and happiness is most important. So when your seventh lord, which is your spouse lord, is goes into the fourth house, so basically fourth house is 10 places away from your seventh house. So if you start counting from the seventh house, fourth house will fall 10 places away. Now it means that the person gain from the spouse. Like if if your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house, then there are high chances that you will gain from your spouse. Like you will gain comforts, vehicle, and a lot of things. Maybe after getting married you will get new home with your spouse, something happen. Maybe after getting married you will get luxury cars and vehicles through your marriage. These things can happen when your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house. It's really a good position because you will actually get good things through your spouse. You will get sukh through your spouse, you will get happiness through your spouse when your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house. In the man chart, wife could be working or has loving and homely nature. If you are a male and you are watching this for your wife and your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house, then you should feel lucky because your wife can be working and earning money. At the same time, she's like a homely, she's like nurturing, motherly kind of women who will take care of you as well. Although we need to see a lot of again aspect and all these kind of things, but still these things are seen when your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house. Also when your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house, then spouse could be like mother to you. Again I'm telling you, like the kind way, the way your mother take care of you now, like eat food, just she will just try to take care of you, nurture you. In the same way your wife is like your mother. If your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house, she will take care you, nurture you, and all these kind of things are seen. Seventh lord when fall in the fourth house, it can make your life comfortable after marriage, and a lot more things. Lastly, I would like to add that both you and your spouse could be involved in home based business also. When say your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house, maybe you guys are just doing some business from your home. Maybe you guys are like kind of a person who is just working from home, both. Or maybe you both are like having some home business. Maybe you guys like interior designer both. Maybe you guys like some doing some work from the laptop or PC by sitting in your home. These things can also be seen when your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house. Now let's move on to fifth house. What happened when your seventh lord is placed in the fifth house? So what does fifth house represent? Fifth house represent children, study, achievement, auspicious work, creativity, acting, drama, film industry, prosperity, wealth, religion, followers, and a lot of things can be seen through the fifth house. Now, what will happen when your seventh lord is placed in the fifth house? So, when your seventh lord is placed in the fifth house, first thing is that it is 11 places away from your seventh house. Okay, it's like the 11 places away from your seventh house. If you start counting from the seventh house, it's 11 places away for fifth house, right? So, then it means that simply that you will gain through your spouse. I would like to tell you that when your seventh lord is placed in the fifth house, then you will gain through your spouse. Definitely you will marry someone and you will gain something from your spouse, like money or all these kind of things. Like you will marry someone who is from rich family, and all these kind of things are seen over here. At the same time, this is a love marriage kind of situation in today's world. Although in here in western countries, like love marriages are mostly here, but in countries like India, where still love marriage is not considered good due to some people thinking and all these kind of things. But if your seventh lord is placed in the fifth house, then it's really a high chances that you will marry someone whom you love, like a love marriage scenario. Although we need to see a lot of conjunction aspect, and again we need to see that. if your seventh lord is placed in the fifth house, then it is also seen that that you and your spouse are like attracted towards each other, or mainly you attract toward your spouse, like there is an attraction between you and your spouse, and it's really a good for your happy married life, right? uh, Although again we need to see like the dignity of the planet aspect, again I'm adding that, but still like generally it's good, it considered to be a good position. Now, when your seventh lord plays in the fifth house, then your spouse would be passionate. We have seen, because fifth house is the house of passion. So your seventh lord, which is your spouse lord, is goes into the fifth house of passion. So spouse would be passionate about something. She may be passionate about you. She may be a creative person, because fifth house is also a creative person, fun-loving, jolly kind of individual, childlike nature maybe, like not like a bad way I'm saying it, like a good way. She may be creative, like a video kind of person. She may doing some creative work. Is actually one of my favorite position when your seventh lord is placed in the fifth house, because spouse would be involved in creative kind of things, and I like really personally creative kind of people. She may be involved in media also, like media kind of things are also seen, like videos and photography, all these kind of things. Both you and your spouse could have common hobbies, like maybe you guys love to for example you guys love to create videos, and you have some work in which you create videos, so you guys could be famous too, right? If your seventh lord is in fifth house, then maybe that you guys do some work due to which you guys both like famous, you are become famous also. These things are also seen when your seventh lord is placed in the fifth house. Now let's move on to the sixth house. What will happen when your seventh lord is placed in the sixth house? Now sixth house represent debt, diseases, loan, enemies, court cases, tension, and at the same time it represents job, competition, and it's mainly in today's day and age, it's like a day-to-day routine, right? Like the routine that you have, day-to-day routine, it's seen through the sixth house. So what will happen when your seventh lord is placed in the sixth house? First thing is that if you start counting from seventh house, then sixth house fall 12 places away, right? Sixth house fall 12 places away from the seventh house. So this position, first thing we have seen that uh, if your seventh lord is placed in the sixth house, then the person you will marry, there are high chances that he or she could be from foreign origin. He or she could be from foreign land, right? He or she is of foreign origin. These things are seen in many cases, or maybe from different religion. When your seventh lord is placed in the sixth house, but to be honest with you, I have seen that when seventh lord is placed in the sixth house, then the person will marry someone who is from foreign land. Now there may be problem in marriage, but here's the thing, which marriage doesn't have problem? Even if your seventh lord is placed in the best position, even then you will say that there are problem in the marriage. So problems are right there in everything in our life. Don't consider it like bad if your seventh lord in sixth house, oh you will have everything bad, bad, bad. No, don't make your mind so negative, right? Whatever will happen in the life will happen, but like generally it can also happen good sometime. That let's say for example your seventh lord please plays in the sixth house, and let's say for example you are living in your home country, right? And maybe it happened that you will marry someone who is from different country, and you will leave your country and settle down there with that particular person, no matter if you are male or female, for both this can applicable. And then it can also happen then the negative effect of that sixth house will convert into the positive effect, because you are just following following the way it wants you to follow, na? So it can also happen. Now other thing can also happen, bad thing can also happen, that you are living in your home country, you get married to the person of the same country, then there is problem. And you are still living in the same country, there may be problem. We need to see a lot of conjunction, like the position, how seventh lord is placed, aspect, and all of these things. So you need to analyze chart properly. You can't just say by seeing one thing, oh you will have everything bad if your seventh lord is placed in the sixth house. You will see a lot of famous celebrities whose seventh lord is placed in the sixth house, right? And even then they are living a good life, they are living a very luxurious life. In fact, I would like to, I do not want to take a name right now, but one celebrity got married, and she travel, she is living in foreign land, and she has seventh lord is sitting in the sixth house, okay? and she's having a very happy life. But again, seventh lord in the sixth house, she married to a someone from the foreigner and just settled down. Not actually one, a lot. So it's not always bad, I would like to add. Now, in general, when your seventh lord is in sixth house, then your spouse would be in the same career as of you. This is being seen that you and your spouse are like in same career. Maybe you guys are doing same work. You can be anywhere. You can be in office or like anything, but it is seen that when seventh lord in sixth house, you guys are in same career. A spouse could be from foreign origin, I had told, or from different cultural background. Also, spouse could be finkly about small things and would be perfectionist, right? He or she wants like perfection in things, right? These kind of things are also seen. Uh, he or she may be in some job like routine based job. Is these things can also be seen. She or he may be doctor, lawyer, accountant, social activist, animal welfare, all these things which are related to sixth house. Na? These things are seen when your seventh lord is placed in the sixth house, right? The spouse can be deal with money, or like health issue, you know. Healing kind of things are seen when your seventh lord is in the sixth house. The spouse could be some kind of healer. Although I have seen a girl who has a normal girl, she has seventh lord is in the sixth house. She get married to a from foreign land and she has settled down with uh, her husband in the foreign land. And now this girl husband is like a video creator. Now they both are in same profession because they are like creating videos on YouTube, and they have YouTube channels, and they are just enjoying their life. So these things can also be seen when your seventh lord is sitting in the sixth house. Okay, now let's move on to our next house, which is seventh house. Well, what will happen when your seventh lord is sit in the seventh house? Okay, so first of all, what does seventh house represent? Seventh house represent our life partner, spouse, marriage, business, partnership, visible enemies, uh, you know, daily profit, business, lust, and a lot of things. But mainly is it's really a house of your spouse. So when your seventh lord, which is your spouse house, is sitting in its own house, which is seventh house, then what will happen? Now, first thing, when your seventh lord is placed in the seventh house, then it is sitting in its own house, which is good, right? Which is really a good position for its itself, because anyone is most comfortable in their own house. Okay. Now, spouse, if your seventh lord is placed in the seventh house, then spouse could be diplomatic qualities, right? Could have good diplomatic qualities. It is she maybe could be someone who would like to make everyone happy. If your seventh lord is in seventh house, then he or she could be someone who would like to make everyone happy, right? And um these things are also seen that the person who has seventh lord in the seventh house, they are like devoted to their spouse. Like they are not that kind of person who wants to cheat their spouse and all these kind of thing. No, they are very devoted to their spouse, right? Their spouse. There is like a true love kind of situation when your seventh lord is in seventh house. There is devotion towards your spouse. Okay. Although again, I'm adding that we need to see a lot of like conjunction, aspect, and all these kind of things, the condition, but still generally these things are seen. Also, when your seventh lord is placed in the seventh house, then spouse could be trustworthy. Your spouse could be trustworthy, dependable, and would always support you, right? He or she will always support you if your seventh lord is sitting in the seventh house. And I have seen that practically, that even when the seventh lord is Saturn, I'm saying even then, even your seventh lord is Saturn and it's sitting in the seventh house, even then I have seen that the spouse is trustworthy and supportive and a very dependable spouse. So these things are seen. The married life would be stable, like a good married life when your seventh lord is placed in the seventh house. Again, spouse could be well balanced, diplomatic, and would be good at dealing with the people and public relation. I've also seen a couple of examples when seventh lord is placed in the seventh house, then their spouse is like a person who is very good with the people, like dealing with the people and public relation. These kind of people are very good. That means their spouse could be very good who have seventh lord in the seventh house. So all these things are seen. Now let's talk about what will happen when your seventh lord is placed in the eighth house. Now what does eighth house represent? Eighth house represent our age, survival, life, death, foreign travel, especially the overseas kind of things, diseases, accident, transformation, unexpected money gains like the lottery you win are seen through eighth house also. But mainly eighth house is the house of sudden events, transformation, like suddenly you get in accident, suddenly you fall in like some problem, suddenly you will found some gold treasure, suddenly you will gain money from somewhere, suddenly you will win a lottery, suddenly you will win, suddenly you have invested in the stock market and the stock goes so up that you can gain a lot of money through that, you gain a lot of money through that. All these things are seen, sudden kind of event from the eighth house are seen. Okay, so what will happen when your seventh lord, which is your spouse lord, is placed in the eighth house? First thing, that seventh lord is now going two places away, like the second from seventh house, which is eighth house. So it's going second two places away from itself. Okay, so it means that a person may get a good partner and the person will gain wealth through their spouse, because if you see, eighth house is second from the seventh, right, which is the spouse money, spouse wealth. So when your seventh lord is sitting in the eighth house, then the person may gain wealth through their spouse. It is also seen, or we can say when they get married, then their spouse family will give them wealth. All these kind of things are seen. All these kind of things are seen. Now, a spouse have a strong interest in occult, palmistry, astrology, tarot card reading. All these kind of things are seen when your seventh lord is in eighth house. So spouse can be, interest in metaphysics, occult, astrology, tarot card. All these kind of things are seen. Also, you may win some lottery or some inheritance. All these kind of things are seen. So let's say your seventh lord is in eighth house and you get married. It may happen that it may possible that you will just win a lottery after getting married if your seventh lord is placed in the eighth house. Who knows? Because it's really a house of transformation. Uh, in general, when seventh lord is placed in the eighth house, marriage would transform your life basically, right? This is really a correct statement. Marriage would transform your life. This can possible. Now married life would be private, like there is lot of uh, private things in your married life. So these are the kind of people, when your seventh lord is placed in the eighth house, so they keep their married life private. Not like these are not like people who would to just put picture with their spouse or like create videos with their spouse. No, they want to keep their married life private, secret. When your seventh lord is in eighth house, these things are also seen. The spouse would deal with the ups and downs in your life, right? So you should also see that when your seventh lord is placed in the sixth, eighth, or 12th houses, any of these three, so you should try to marry someone like whom with you have really good understanding, because you have to understand that when seventh lord is placed in the sixth, eighth, 12th, then there may be problem in the marriage. Everything has plus and minus. So when plus, it's good, but when it's minus, if you have good understanding with your spouse, then when there's minus, because your seventh lord is placed in the sixth, eighth, or 12th house, then you should have good understanding so that you can just handle these situation and your marriage will go smoothly, right? There may be ups and downs, but again, you need to deal with your marriage with the intelligence, especially when your seventh lord is in eighth house, because there is lots of ups and downs are seen. Now, the spouse can also be working in the research field, right? I have told earlier that she may be interested or may be working in astrology, palmistry. She may be astrologer, she may be a palmist, she may be a tarot card reader, she may be a data scientist, she may be a data scientist, she may be in research field, she may be like working in some kind of research, right? Or she may be working in some profession in which she have to deal with other people's money, like she may be in bank, she may be in some finance company, she may be in insurance, right? All these things could be seen when your seventh lord is placed in the eighth house. And I'm sorry, I'm saying she, I'm talking about your spouse, right? I am a male, that's why it's natural for me to say she. Subconsciously I say she, right? So you can understand that this is for your husband and your wife according to your gender. Okay, now let's move on to ninth house. What will happen when your seventh lord is placed in the ninth house? Now, what does ninth house represent? Ninth house represent our higher education, teachers, our guru, our luck, our religion, pilgrimage, fame, brother-in-law, brother and sister, dream, monk, and a lot of things are seen to the ninth house. Long distance kind of things, long distance travel, but mainly it's, if I would like to just say one word, then it is the house of luck, right? Your luck. Now, what will happen when your seventh lord is placed in this ninth house of luck? Now, first thing you will see that your seventh lord is going three places away, because ninth house is three places away from your seventh house. Seventh house is first house, eighth house is second house, and ninth house is third house. So seventh house lord is three places away from its from its original house. So it's sitting in the ninth house, right? So what does it mean? It means that the person will get good luck from the spouse, and there may be rise in career, and overall life will be good. The luck will increase after marriage. These things are also seen when your seventh lord is placed in the ninth house. Okay, the spouse is supporting. If your seventh lord is in place in the ninth house, then spouse could be supporting. She may help you, right, in fulfilling your duties, fulfilling your desire. These things are also seen. Also, there are high chances when whenever there is a connection between seventh house and ninth house, seventh lord, ninth lord, all these things, seventh lord in the ninth house, ninth lord in the seventh house, or their nakshatra exchange, like seventh lord is in the nakshatra of ninth house, ninth lord in the nakshatra of seventh house, then there are high chances that a spouse can be someone who is from different country. He or she may be from foreign land, or maybe from different cultural background, from different religion can also be possible. Okay, also when your seventh lord is placed in the ninth house, then the spouse could be well educated, well traveled, or from a different cultural background. He or she could be working in the field of academics, like he or she may be a professor, maybe a teacher. uh, it may also possible that you may end up meeting your spouse in some college if your seventh lord is placed in the ninth house. Or maybe you are going on a long distance trip kind of thing, and you will find that your spouse is also there. These things are also seen. Although I have created a video on spouse meeting circumstances, where will you meet your spouse, you can watch that on my channel also. uh, Now, there are high chances that a spouse can be from different country, or long distance kind of things are seen when your seventh lord is placed in the ninth house. And most important thing over here is that your luck will increase after you get married if your seventh lord is placed in the ninth house. So it's really a good place, it's really a lucky position for you if your seventh lord is placed in the ninth house. Now let's move on to 10th house. What will happen when your 7th lord is placed in the 10th house? So 10th house represent father, profession, business, post, prestige, Rajyog, rights, and like it's really represent profession in one word. If I would like to tell you that 10th house is basically your work, your profession, right? The kind of work you do. So what will happen when your seventh lord of your spouse is goes into the 10th house? So basically, first thing we see that when seventh lord is placed in the 10th house, it's going four places away from itself. Okay, so it means that if you start counting from seventh house, then 10th house fall four places away. So it means that person may get a spouse who is caring and loving, right? Because seventh lord is four places away in the 10th house. So it means that you will get a spouse who is loving, caring towards you. Okay, these are the first thing. Now spouse could be working. You will get a spouse who could be working at the same time. He or she could also earn money for you, especially if you are a male. Then your wife could be working if your seventh lord is placed in the 10th house, and he and she will earn money, and you will get money through your spouse, basically, if your seventh lord is placed in the 10th house, because she is working. Now also the spouse could be career oriented and help you and uplifting your career. Like she may be career oriented if your seventh lord is in 10th house, or she may help you constantly so that you will grow in your career, right? These things are also seen. Also, when your seventh lord is placed in the 10th house, then you would work at marriage the same way you look at your career. Also, when your seventh lord is placed in the 10th house, up kar, cut kar. Also, when your seventh lord is placed in the 10th house, then you would look at your marriage in the same way you look at your career. Like your marriage holds same importance for you as your career. So also possible when your seventh lord is placed in the 10th house that internally you feel that I will marry to a person who will be successful. When seventh lord is placed in the 10th house, then these persons wants to get married to someone who is like successful, career oriented person, or maybe good in career. These things are also seen. uh, Maybe the spouse could be famous. When your seventh lord is placed in the 10th house, spouse could be famous also, and would have some status symbol, career oriented leadership role can also be seen. When your seventh lord is in 10th house, the spouse could be like famous, and maybe she is like the CEO of company, or he is like the CEO of company, or like some leadership position. All these kind of things related to career is seen when your seventh lord is placed in the 10th house. Now let's talk about the 11th house. What does 11th house represent? 11th house represent your income, your profit, your fulfillment of desire, achievement, right? uh, if you have desire to become, let's say for example, you have desire to become world's richest person, or you have the desire to become president of some country, prime minister of some country, all these things are seen through 11th house. Your heirs, your elder sibling, brother, sister, which is elder to you, and daughter-in-law, all these things are seen through 11th house. But mainly 11th house is the house of your gains, right? So now what will happen when your seventh lord, which is your spouse, is goes into the 11th house of gain? So now when seventh lord is placed in the 11th house, it is basically five places away from itself. Like if you start counting from seventh house, then 11th house fall five places away. So it means that person maybe get a wealthy spouse. So basically it means that the person may get a wealthy spouse. Okay, so if you are one of those person who want to get married someone who's like a wealthy, and your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house, then there is a high chances that you will marry someone who is like rich person. Okay, you may marry someone who's billionaire, millionaire. They may be possible that your seventh lord is in 11th house, you will get rich spouse. It doesn't matter if you are a male, you can get a rich wife. If you are a female, you can get a rich husband as well. The person gains wealth in marriage. If your seventh lord is in 11th house, then maybe your spouse family will give you wealth. They will give you home, they will give you car, wealth, money. All these kind of things are seen when your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house. Basically it represents that you know you will gain through your spouse. Now it may also possible that your spouse is like working in some speculation business, like they may be in stock market or a stock broker, or they may earn money through stock market. These things are also seen when your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house. Also, if your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house, then seventh and 11th houses are houses of desire, right? So it is a case of what you desire and you get after marriage, right? So if you desire something, let's say you desire that I want to get a Ferrari, and if your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house, then it may also possible that you are able to earn Ferrari after getting your married. That means your desire will be fulfilled after getting your married, after you will get married, if your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house. It can also be possible. Now the spouse will bring money into your life. Basically it can be in any form. It can be like you will get some, you will marry someone who is rich, or maybe you will marry some normal girl or boy, but something happen that your career will go so good that you will able to earn so much money that after getting married you will able to fulfill your desire. These things are also be seen. Now uh, the spouse would be working in large organization. These things can also possible if your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house, like she may be, he or she may be working in Google, IBM. Maybe if your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house, or they may have huge professional network. Your spouse may have huge professional network if your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house. Okay, so all these things are seen when your seventh lord is placed in the 11th house. Now let's talk about the 12th house. What will happen when your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house? So 12th house represent what? 12th house represent losses, right? It represent hospital, it represent bad pleasures, sexual pleasures, foreign land, right? So whatever you do in private room, like the male and female, obviously sexual pleasures, all these things are sex is seen through 12th house, and the foreign lands are also seen through 12th house. So if you are watching, if you want to get a sexual spouse, if you want to get a foreign spouse, then these things are like, in modern age, sex and foreign lands are like good thing for most of the people. Most of the people wants to be in foreign land. Most of the people want like a high sexual kind of person. So if your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house, which is like 6 places away from 7th house, so if you start counting from the 7th house, 12th house is 6 places away. So basically, there, in the older text they say that this is not good, yeah, xyz will happen, but in today's world it's good actually in some cases. Because let's say for an example, you wants to only get married to someone who is from foreign land, and if seventh lord is placed in the 12th house, then it's good. Maybe you want to get highly sexual spouse, and your seventh lord is in 12th house, you want to enjoy more bed pleasure, then this is good, right? So also, if your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house, then spouse could be spiritual, like maybe practicing spirituality and all these kind of like spiritual things are seen when your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house. And one more thing I would like to add: if your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house, then you marry someone who's from foreign land, then it's really good. The problem occurs when your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house and you marry someone who's from homeland, like then the negative significance work more, right? Because if seventh lord is in 12th house, you marry some foreigner, then it's like good, because the negative significance will null down in many cases, right? Also, I'm again adding that you need to see aspects, conjunction, how planet is placed, all those things. For that you can just fill the form which is in description below and in the comment section as well, and get personal consultation from us. Also, when your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house, then a spouse could be of foreign origin, would be from different cultural background. There are high chances that you will meet your spouse in foreign land, or there are high chances that after getting married, you and your spouse will settle in the foreign land. Maybe, yeah, it may also possible. I have seen that if your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house, then maybe you can marry someone from your same homeland. But something happened that after getting married, you both travel and settle to a different country. These things are also seen if your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house. Because specifically to get married to someone who is from foreign origin, we need to see a lot of combinations. When all those combinations are working, then there are chances that you will marry someone who's from foreign land. But if, let's say, less combination are there, then there may be possible that you will marry someone who's from different religion, or maybe you will marry someone from your own country, same religion, but in some cases we have seen then after getting married they will settle to different country. So it's like a lot of things we need to analyze chart for the perfect result. The spouse would be spiritual, philosophical, creative, imaginative, you know, or working in like field related to the 12th house, which is like hospital, airport, like research lab, a religious center, or like jail. Maybe he or she may be like a jailer kind of thing, like policeman in jail. Some these things are also seen when your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house. Also, it can also possible that you may be in some import export or like some business which is related to foreign land when your seventh lord is placed in the 12th house. So guys, this was my analysis of your seventh lord is placed in different houses from first house to 12th house, and all those things that I can tell about your spouse are over here. But again, I would like to add that for having the big picture, you need to analyze your chart properly. For that, you can take personal consultation from us. The links are in description. You can just fill the form and take consultation from us, or in the comment section as well. Click on that link, fill the form, pay the payment, and take consultation from us. And hopefully you enjoy the videos, and we'll create more videos like this. So like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Till then, bye bye.